John.
Hi, Mr. McLellan.
So, John.
Hey, Mr. McLellan.
Hi, John.
Hi, Mr. McLellan.
Hi, John. It doesn't seem possible that you are about ready to retire.
Through your amazing talent to teach music, you've changed thousands of lives. And I can't tell you how much you've changed my own life as a mentor and one of my greatest colleagues of all time. Your humor, your wit, your incredible intelligence, your amazing creativity, how it has affected everything you do and how you have maintained your life and continue to do so is very inspiring to me and thousands of people.
It just seems like yesterday that I was sitting in an office with Doc Nicholson interviewing you for the position in Belmont for middle school band director. And I will always remember the words Doc said to me, even though you had not had experience as a middle school person. He says to me, "This is the person we need to have. He has the it." And boy, was he ever right. You have given so much to the profession, to all of us throughout your illustrious career in the Belmont Public Schools.
Haven't seen each other for a long time, but I want to wish you a happy retirement. It is everything you expect it to be. You have been an inspiration and a mentor to all of us in music education over the past several years.
The 1983-84 school year was my first in band. It was also Mr. McLellan's first year teaching music at the Belmont Public Schools. Mr. McLellan was not only my most frequent teacher, he was a huge influence on my education. Music was a big part of what I learned growing up here. It was where I met a lot of my friends, and it gave me a great appreciation for the arts and working with other people.
The thing that I admire most about Mr. McLellan is his uncommon level of commitment to both his profession and the people that he's worked with. And that's something that I've really only come to appreciate as I've gotten a little bit older. You know, when I was young, a young student, I loved Mr. McLellan, but maybe didn't view him as a real person with his own struggles and challenges like everyone else has. His first year at Belmont, at least, was actually a little rocky. But he stayed, and he felt like this is what he was supposed to be doing. And I think that that is what really makes him a true friend and community builder.
You have made Belmont a musical mecca for young instrumentalists. You've infused them with a love of music and cooperation and understanding that they will take with them for the rest of their lives. One of my fondest memories is Bandorama. Not only does it mark the passing of another year, but if you sit high enough up in the field house and look down, it's like time-lapse photography, seeing the elementary music students who just learned their instruments 3 months ago, playing at the beginning, all the way through to the accomplished performers at the high school.
Our kids were lucky enough to have Mr. McLellan as their music teacher, and he really helped them to develop a great love of music, which proved to be a critical lifeline and a source of great fun and pride for them over the years.
I met John McLellan during my interview here at Chenery. The interview went great, and after the interview, he took me for a ride downtown, and he was so kind and generous on that day. And over the years, I've learned that that's what encompasses John McLellan. He is so kind and generous with all of his students. And I think that's what most of the students would tell you. He always has time for them. He could have 17 things in his hand, 4 people asking him questions, and he will still stop to help you. When I first got here, he's handing out music and on the easier level for some groups like 6th grade, and then writing parts of music to go along with that, more advanced parts that would be great for an 8th grader. And I remember watching these 6th graders learn these parts and be like, I can't believe they can play this.
It's really hard to summarize in just a few seconds how much I value John's mentorship over the years. Everything from his devotion to teamwork and his self-deprecating, dry sense of humor. But more than anything, he would talk about students and colleagues, and he'd say, oh, well, she's my hero, and boy, she's just unbelievable, or he's incredible. And more often than not, the students and your colleagues were just trying to live up to your example and meet your standard. And that's what a great teacher does.
if I were to think of words that would describe you, humble, soft-spoken, a role model, giving of yourself, a musician, and a true educator are words that resonate with me. And most importantly, you were someone who always put the students first. Regardless of what it was, you gave the students ownership, and it was all about the students. And that is so commendable, John. And I thank you for that.
There is so much that could be said about John. Not only did he bring music in just unbelievable ways to children, he brought us the emotional meaning of playing in a group, and what a gift that was for a 12-year-old kid to be able to feel that kind of emotional connection to music and really understand that that's the true beauty of music. And all of us, we can carry that on throughout our lives, whether we play or not.
And so now, after these many years of grading and listening to levels and writing levels for students, we have one for you, Mr. McLellan.
My favorite Mr. McLellan story comes from when I was first starting band and I didn't know what instrument to play, and I was trying to pick, and I knew I wanted to play a brass instrument. So I put a trumpet first, I put a trombone on the list, and I had an oboe as my third choice, I think. And, we were getting ready to where you go pick up the instruments, and Mr. McLellan came to me and he said, Peter, we have 30 trumpets, we have 20 trombone players, but we don't have that many oboes. Would you be interested in playing the oboe? And I said, yeah, I was thinking it was like a cornet. I was thinking it was something similar to a trumpet. And so I said, it's like a trumpet, right? And he says, yeah, it's just like a trumpet. And so I went with my family to pick up the instrument, and I opened it, and obviously it looks nothing like a trumpet. And I was a little surprised, but I also thought, this guy's a funny guy. This is someone I think I could work with.
Hey, Mr. McLellan, Stephanie Green here. Back in the 80s, you asked me what instrument I was interested in playing, and I told you trombone, and you said, well, are your arms long enough? They turned out to be long enough, and I stuck with it through high school and had a blast and met a lot of awesome people along the way.
Mr. McLellan is essentially to blame for my entire career because he was one of the first people to encourage me to compose. His rehearsals to me are still the ideal because I don't recall ever hearing him scold anybody. He never had to single anybody out because we all just knew that his ear was so good that if you made a mistake, he heard it. And that created this atmosphere of kind of quiet expectation where we all wanted to live up to it and be better so that we would make each other sound good.
It's hard for almost anyone to know, especially probably Mr. McLellan, how much of an impact he's made on people and how much his influence and his goodness, just how deeply they've affected people. He's just a good soul and loves his students. As someone growing up kind of small and insecure, it was great to have band to look forward to at the end of every day. And although I don't do music anymore, not in a concert setting, the pursuit of just creative excellence and the love for the art is something that I still do, and I still take influence from Mr. McLellan as I pursue design and animation and start a family and things like that.
So you might be surprised to learn that at age 14, Mr. McLellan became John, and we became colleagues at Chenery Middle School. John made me feel like his office was my office as we launched the Music Mentor program together. As you do at age 14, our office also made frequent coffee runs. He, for some reason, approved of my caffeine habit, and I knew his order was cream and 1 sugar. John had created a space for me that allowed me to be creative and independent, challenged me when I needed it, encouraged me to be bold, and told me that I mattered. I couldn't even pass the music level that he named after me, but it was about something much more basic. It was about believing in someone, creating space for growth, and knowing there's always time for another cup of coffee.
Even coming back for Saturday morning music school as a mentor, you can see that he knows everyone's name within like 2 weeks.
I would probably say his dedication, because he's dedicated to all students.
For me, Mr. McLellan always made me feel like a very important individual. When I started music, I really wanted to play the trumpet, but he insisted. He said, "We need you as a French horn player." And when he said that, I mean, I was, in 4th grade, but I felt like someone needs me. I should do that. So I ended up playing French horn, and I had an amazing experience.
He's able to help you get better and like show you in the band like how you can improve what you're doing, and that's how his bands get to such a high level.
Mr. McLellan and the whole music program in Belmont just really makes you want to keep music as part of your life. So I still play the oboe in our church. I play the piano every week for our church, and just the fact that we're still able to play our instruments today and it's still part of our life, that's pretty amazing.
He kind of showed everybody that you can teach without looking down on, and that like kids deserve respect too.
The second you get to his class, he has like a pretty high expectation of you, and the second you start getting good, he has an even higher expectation of you. So he keeps like raising his expectations of how hard you're going to work at your instrument.
Mr. McLellan, looking now, his example has taught me patience. As a 7th grade teacher now, I understand how hard it is to manage hundreds of students, and he has taught thousands over the years. And so the fact that he can help someone start an instrument and have them continue that instrument with so much patience and practice and love is a really amazing quality.
So I was in 8th grade probably, and the other saxophonist wasn't showing up. He was stuck in traffic, and he had this big solo, and I didn't know it. I mean, I kind of knew it, but I didn't really know it. And it was like the end of rehearsal, and Mr. McLellan walked up, and we were like going out to go into the, I don't know, the hallway or whatever. And he was like, "So you ready for your solo?"
When I was old enough to participate in the Memorial Day Parade, I was handed a piccolo. And I mean, I had played the flute and I knew the flute, and then to discover this new, super cute, really cool little piccolo to play, that was something new.
I remember like the day of or the day after I got braces was like the brass and woodwind symphony concert. And I remember I saw him beforehand, and I was like, "Hey, Mr. McLellan, I got braces." He was like, "Oh no," because like it sucks to play with them, especially at first. And then that night we played, and I had a solo and stuff. And then afterwards I saw him in the hallway, and he looked at me and was like, "You play that well with braces too?"
A general thing that he always lightens like the mood whenever we're on stage or like we're getting on a concert. He always like looks at us and he makes a joke, or he goes to the microphone and he says something funny and everyone laughs.
He knew everyone, and as a parent going into with kids having come from a very small school and sending them to a very large school, I was very quick to realize how he got to know everybody, and he became personally connected to them. And that remained true for each child all through the Chenery.
Well, I was born and raised in Watertown and went through the music program there. And when we got married and realized we're going to have some kids and they might have some musical talent, we realized we needed to be aware of the musical education that's available. And we went to the Watertown High School Belmont football game and saw the Watertown High School band sitting in the stands, and they were okay, but nothing really special. And then the Belmont band came out playing this wonderful show with all of the organization and the musical quality that was there. And we said, maybe that's where we should be. And that's what we did. We ended up moving to Belmont. And what we discovered was that John and his great teaching skills in music and as a human being as well was very important to the development of the farm team that feeds the upper classes of Belmont. And so that it's no accident that Belmont High School sounds as good as they do, and the Chenery, because it all comes from the beginnings at the lower levels where John, for so many years, has been the impetus to that beautiful music that happens.
Hi, Mr. McLellan. I just wanted to say I'm so grateful for you and the influence you've had on me over the years. And I'm being honest when I say I'm a big fan of yours, and I always have been, and I always will be. You've always put your heart and your soul into your passions and into your teaching, and it's truly inspiring.
As my kids developed as musicians, they kept getting these little compositional exercises that he would send to them. First, they were the levels that they had to pass. And then once they passed the levels, they got these special little ditties that are written by him. These are actually quite interesting compositions. They're not just these little things that somebody threw out there. These are well thought out, well constructed compositional musical events. And John shows his talents as a composer in doing these things.
Also, you always took the time to get to know each of us well. You recognized our strengths and our abilities, and you helped us in bringing those out. You always challenged me to be the best that I can be, and you always supported me, and I want to thank you for that. Seeing your example over the years has made a huge impact on my decision to study music education, so again, thank you.
Mr. McLellan has always been a little bit of a goofball, but he also really cares about his students. Middle school was really hard for me, but I could always count on him to use his humor and effervescence to make me laugh, make me smile. Even just when I walk in the room and he calls me Hannah the Almighty, that always used to make me smile. And I could tell he was really trying to help me feel better. He really wanted to help, and he did every day. So thank you, Mr. McLellan, for helping me and so many others like me to get through middle school. I'm really grateful that I had you as my band teacher.
I also want to thank you for being such a friend and a colleague for these many years. And as you begin your next phase of your professional life, I wish you nothing but the best for your future. Enjoy your grandchildren and your wife, Lisa.
I realize John won't be here next year, and that will be sad for me and sad for many of the students. But we wish him well. We wish him wonderful joy with his grandchildren and his wife and his family.
I hope you and Lisa have a great time as you enter this phase of life.
Congratulations on your retirement. I wish you the very best. Thank you so much for instilling a love of music in me and so many others, and a little bit of fun and goofiness too.
You are definitely up there in the legends category. There's no question about it. You are a true legend.
Huge congratulations to you, John. You taught me so much about life and music, and I wish you happiness, fulfillment, and music in your retirement.
You're a model person, and I love you so much, and I'm so excited about your future and the next chapter that's ahead. Thank you so much for everything. Congratulations.
Thanks for all you've done for Belmont and the students of Belmont, John.
Thanks, John. Congratulations.
Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you so much.
Mr. McLellan is the man.
Good luck, John.
Thank you, Mr. McLellan.
Congratulations. Love you.
Happy retirement.
Thank you, Mr. McLellan.
And here's David.
We're so glad that even though we were doing music 15 and 18 and 20 years ago, that David, our little brother, can learn from Mr. McLellan in middle school.